So today I'm going to be showing you a hamster diet transition. This is for if you want to transition your hamster's diet from their old food to new food. Of course, it's diet transition. You would do this in a case where maybe you want to try out a new food, or you've just found out your old food isn't very good for your hamster, or maybe you want to transition it because when you got your hamster, they're on a food that you wouldn't normally feed them. Any of those cases, or I'm sure there's many more, why you would transition. They're all good reasons, unless, of course, you're transitioning them to a bad food, then that's not a good reason. But, hamster diet transition is totally normal. It's not something that is forbidden. Although, it can be kind of stressful on your hamster, so there's certain steps you should take to transition it so you're not like, here, eat this new food, and they're like, what the heck is this? So, this is what I'm showing you. I used this for Chloe when I transitioned her to VitaCraft VitaSmart, which is the food she has right now. I used this food, and she really enjoys it now. It was kind of confusing for her at first, but, I mean, your hamster will get used to it, and this way totally worked for me. She transitioned beautifully, and she didn't even mind. Without further ado, we will get started. So, on day 1 and day 2, you're going to use 1.5 tablespoons of new food. Of old food, sorry. Yes, old food. So, this is 1 tablespoon as far as this scoop goes. So you're going to dump that in, and then you're going to use 1/2 of a tablespoon and dump that in. So after you've done your old mix, you're going to add in your new mix. For the purpose of this, I don't have 2 different types of food, so I'm just going to use the same food but show you the measurements. So now for the new mix on day 1 and day 2, you're going to use 1/2 of a tablespoon. So, right here in the dish. And then your dish should look like this. I'm going to dump that back in the container. So now, once you've got past day 1 and day 2, which if you feed every other day, then that might be a little bit different. But if you feed every day, then you can do it. It'll play out just how this is. I feed every other day, so it would take me a little bit longer to get past day 1 and day 2, but that is totally fine either way. So now, on day 3 and day 4, we're doing 1 tablespoon of old mix. So, here's our old mix going in there. And 1 tablespoon of new mix. There's a bug, sorry. So, after you've done your 1 tablespoon of old mix and your 1 tablespoon of new mix, we are moving on to day 5 and day 6. So on day 5 and day 6, we're doing 1/2 tablespoon of old. So, let me scoop some up right here. Pop that in there. I forgot to empty out the dish. Oh well. And 1.5 teaspoons of new. So you're adding in 1 and then 1/2. So this is not what your dish would look like. This is 2 days. This is day 3 and day 4 and day 5 and day 6. But I'll quickly review the past 3 days. Day 1 and day 2 is 1.5 tablespoons of old mix and 1/2 tablespoon of new. Day 3 and day 4 is 1 tablespoon of old mix and 1 tablespoon of new. Day 5 and day 6 is 1/2 tablespoon of old and and 1.5 tablespoons of new mix. And day 7 is just 2 great old tablespoons of new food. Now by day 7, you are transitioned to your new food. So it takes a week if you feed every day. If you feed every other day, it'll slightly go on to 2 weeks. But this is how I transitioned her food. She loved it, didn't care, like I said. It worked perfectly for her. So I'm hoping this works for you guys. And if it doesn't work all the way, maybe you should try a different food. Maybe it's the food that they're not liking. Or maybe you should feed every other day, because they're not going to eat their food right away. They hoard their food, because that's what hamsters do, like, because they're rodents. But this is their diet transition. So I will now review it again, just in case you either forgot the measurements. You can write them down now as I list them off. So day 1 and day 2 is 1.5 tablespoons of old, a half tablespoon of new. Day 3 and day 4 is 1 tablespoon of old and 1 tablespoon of new. Day 5 and day 6 is a half tablespoon of old and 1.5 tablespoons of new. Day 7 is 2 tablespoons of new, and you are fully transitioned onto the new food. So, once again, this is just a quick, easy way to keep your pet from being stressed out when transitioning their food. And, yeah, I hope your hamster likes their new food. If you did transition it. If you did not, then that's totally okay. Maybe you were watching this for reference for somebody else or for later. But I always like to keep this written down. Like, I write down not to be fed foods, to be fed foods, how to change your diet. And I write down all this stuff for people if they're going to watch Chloe. And if I'm transitioning her diet and I have to leave somewhere, somebody's supposed to be watching her, I have it all written down in a hamster binder. I recommend that. If you can't use binder, notebook's totally the same. But I just have it all written in my binder. I have the health, what to look for. I will go through this binder in a future video. But for now, I hope you liked this video, and I will see you guys next time. Bye!